Well, thank you very much to everyone for taking the time of joining this last webinar we're presenting. Today, we're going to talk about a very interesting topic, which is Antarctica expeditions, exploring beyond South America. So I'm going to give today some general information on Antarctica and the most common ways to do these excursions on board different vessels, especially the ones that we at Pure Travel Group have a close relationship with. And it's going to be a little bit different than the other webinars I've provided, because Antarctica it's a different destination. So it's more about understanding like the length of the itineraries and the dynamic of the excursions offshore and land excursions on the Antarctica Peninsula per se. So I'm going to start. Thank you very much for anyone taking the time to join. And of course, if you need further information after the webinar, my colleague Christina from the marketing department will put my contact on the chat box. Please make sure everyone mute their microphone so we don't have any interference. And so I'm going to start. So thank you very much. So Antarctica is the 7th destination that Pure Travel Group offers. And we just started promoting this destination as of 2 years ago, when we started having direct connections with some of the Antarctica vessels that could be a good combination for either our Chile or Argentina trips extensions. Okay. So I'm gonna tell you a little bit more about Antarctica itself. So a general overview on Antarctica. The continent is twice the size of Brazil. The best way to reach Antarctica is particularly from Argentina or Chile, which are the closest points to Antarctica. There are also offered some flights from Australia, some overflights to Antarctica. However, all of the expedition cruises, they do depart from either these two countries. In terms of markets, what we've found is that the US market mostly wants to go straight to Antarctica as a direct destination, but Europeans and Australians, they do more pre and post tours in Chile or Argentina, Patagonia, before or after doing their Antarctica excursion. 99% of travel to Antarctica departs from either Ushuaia or Punta Arenas. Most of the ships leave from Ushuaia, but there are also some options that depart from Punta Arenas that you can fly over in order to avoid the Drake's Passage. Okay. Itineraries from Punta Arenas with the flight over are called the Antarctica Express itineraries. And these usually are more dynamic, especially for the American market, that they have less time, because usually the itineraries in Antarctica, if you do from Ushuaia to the Antarctica Peninsula, the shortest itinerary, if you're going to do crossing the Drake's Passage, it would be 11-day itinerary, and you can add up to a 24-day itinerary, including South Georgia Islands, where you can see the King and Emperor penguins. Okay. We always recommend doing a pre-tour rather than a post tour, especially if clients are departing from Ushuaia. Why? Because the only way to get to Ushuaia is from Aerolíneas Argentinas, which is the local airline from Argentina. And we've realized that as the cruises, they do have set departures. If there are delays on flights or anything in regards to the logistics of operations, it's always to have a couple of extra days to do a couple of tours in Ushuaia and then boarding without a problem your Antarctica cruise. Okay. Um, Usually, when you do the tour from Ushuaia, going through the Drake's Passage, you need to understand that it'll be 2 days, complete days on board while crossing the Drake's Passage. So you'll start your itinerary in boarding the ship in the afternoon and then navigating through the Beagles Channel until you get outside and reach the Drake's Passage. Okay. This will take you 2 days where you will have different information before you are getting to Antarctica and understanding what is the wildlife that you're going to be encountering on this seventh continent, the way that the excursions will be managed, the security on board, and many other important research field lessons or lectures from specialists. Because as you may know, Antarctica expedition vessels, they do have a sustainable commitment with the Antarctica itself, with the continent itself. So it's not about only doing the expeditions, but it's mostly also about doing research. And there are different scientists on board who are going to be your guides, who could be either geologists, marine biologists specialized in whales, in sea lions, in birds, and among other species. So they're going to give you full information and very interesting topics about like what you're going to be expecting when you get to see and when you get to the Antarctica itself. Okay. So in terms of how to reach Antarctica, I told you you can get from either Australia with over flights. But if you want to do the expedition vessels, definitely it has to be from either Punta Arenas or from Ushuaia, which is called the end of the world, and we spoke about in our Argentina webinar. Very important. Early booking is really, really important, as there are about like 25 to 30 expedition vessels in Antarctica. It's super important that you take your time to book in advance. Okay. The season, it's important to understand because regardless, there's only one season to visit the Antarctica, which is the summer in the southern hemisphere, which is from September up to end of March. There's two seasons where I'm gonna talk a little bit more about regarding what you're interested to see when you're visiting Antarctica. Also, choosing the right itinerary is important, and the packing list as well. Okay. So, the Antarctica season, as I already mentioned, and sorry, I said September, but usually starts in November and ends in March, summertime. Something important to consider when you're taking into account an itinerary is that November and December are the months for animal mating, and this is really the time that everything is going to be pure white. So you're going to be able to see more glaciers, more icebergs, and everything is going to be still covered white because it's the end of the spring, and spring, of course, it's the transition month. So it's a great time to see Antarctica as its purest white. Regarding to the itineraries from January to March, it's more the whale season. Okay, so people who are really interested in whales, this is the time that you are going to have more probability to get to see the whales. Something very important when considering an Antarctica expeditions is that if you want to see the king emperor penguins, you need to take the longest itineraries, including South Georgia and Falkland Islands, because it's going to be very, very rare to see one emperor king penguin in the Antarctica Peninsula. Okay? So, ways to explore, already mentioned cruises and flights. And before I start talking a little bit more about like the cruises that we offer, I want to expand a little further into the information about the destination itself. What kind of wildlife are you expected to see in Antarctica? When I talk about wildlife, it's all the animals, mainly. And Antarctica, it's very famous for its penguin colonies. The most common colonies that you're gonna find in the Antarctica Peninsula are the Gentoo penguins, Adelie penguins, chinstrap penguins, and rarely an emperor penguin or a king penguin, but like this is very, very odd to see. So, as I mentioned before, including South Georgia Island, you're definitely going to be able to see the different animals. When it comes for other mammals, you're going to be able to see weddell seals, leopard seals, crab eater seals, raw seals, and Antarctic fur seals. These can be seen everywhere. Uh, and it's really, really interesting because there's two ways that you're going to be able to encounter the different colonies, either of penguins or the seals. It's because every excursion, you will have every day an excursion in the morning that it'll take 2 hours getting off the boat, and you do a dinghy ride for an hour, just trying to get close to the animals and understand their behavior on their natural habitat. But also, there's another hour where you're gonna get down offshore, and you're gonna get down to the shore and start a hike within the places that you can actually get to visit in the Antarctica Peninsula. Okay. When it comes to whales, what kind of whales are you able to see during the Antarctica whale season? This is, remember, from January to March, and you'll be able to see mostly humpback whales, minke whales, which are the most common ones in the Antarctica, orcas, if you're lucky, fin whales, and blue whales as well. Remember that it's super important to understand that it's the wildlife, so it cannot be guaranteed that you're going to be seeing a whale. Or if you see, you can see it throughout the navigation, not when you are actually doing an excursion on the dinghy, but also there's lucky passengers who've been able to just spot the whales next to their dinghies while they're doing their expedition. Okay? In terms of other Antarctica wildlife that you're gonna see are the Antarctic petrels, snow petrels, Antarctic terns, the southern giant petrels, Antarctic squaws, and wandering albatrosses. And also other marine life that it's very important for the environment in the Antarctica are the krill, which is a primarily food source for many Antarctic animals. Okay, so important. When we talk about the itineraries, they all will have pretty much the same itinerary on different set departures. So it's always important that Pure Travel Group and Pure Antarctica can support you with their local offices in Chile and Argentina for the best pre and post tour coordination. As I already said, it's always to do a pre tour in order to ensure that you're there for your boarding on the Antarctica cruise. Understanding the logistics of a pre and post tour are really, really important. Um, Besides that, experienced travel designers are going to be able to give you, besides these four cruises that we're actually have a direct commercialization, but we also can combine, you know, if they don't have that much time and for example they want to see the king emperor penguin, so probably instead of doing a 24-day itinerary, we could probably take them to an extension to Puerto Madryn in Argentina, where they could probably get to see one of these colonies as well. So actually understanding how to combine the pre and post tours with Antarctica, depending on what you want to see, it could be a difference. Um, there is a common knowledge about like the typical super luxurious expedition vessels such as Ponant, Quark, among others, um, that can that are, yeah, well, everyone has direct contact with them and they do actually sell directly to all the agents and have offices in the US and etc. But the way we can support you is that there is about like 20 or more or less 20 different cruises in the Antarctica. So we can always revise like the different alternatives and prices depending on the budget of your clients for either the itinerary that they're looking into or also the length of the itinerary, or maybe also some promotions that we might get and we can give you a better deal on. Okay, so I'm gonna talk right now about the four cruises that we commercialize and no, I'm sorry, but before going to the cruises, um there's a couple of sites that I want to talk about a little bit when doing an Antarctica Peninsula excursion, which is the shortest itinerary, either if you do on a flight to Antarctica or crossing the Drake's Passage. And quickly, I'm going to be mentioning what you're going to be visiting, how the excursions are going to be, and then I'm going to talk about the boats a little bit more. So when you get to Antarctica Peninsula, the first spot you get to see it's Paradise Bay, sorry. And this is when you finish your Drake's Passage crossing, so it'll take you 2 days, and at the third day in the morning, you will wake up already inside of like the Antarctica Peninsula. So you're gonna see the Antarctica continent. So it's incredible because you end up for being for 2 days like seeing nothing but ocean. But then it's incredible how you wake up in the morning and you see the Antarctica continent just in front of you. And the first place that you visit is Paradise Bay, known for its scenic beauty, towering glaciers, and abundant wildlife. So you're gonna see dozens of seals, but also penguins here. Then the second place that you will be visiting is Port Lockroy, and that would be on the same day, which is a historic British research station and post office. Now it's operated as a museum. Then on the second day, you will be visiting the Lemaire Channel, which is you'll be crossing with your boat through the narrowest passage flanked by steep cliffs and glaciers. So it's a hard navigation where the captain of the boat needs to understand how to go through, but you go through the different icebergs and glaciers and get to see great photogenic scenery for people that want to do different pictures and stuff like this. There are some activities offered on board, people who are, for example, interested in photography, that they can go with someone expert in photography in of one of the expedition leaders who will take you in the tour like more towards a photographic oriented tour. Okay. Then another point of visit is the South Shetland Islands that you do on the fourth day, and that's situated because when you go from Antarctica, you reach the southest point in the Antarctica Peninsula, and then you start navigating up north again. Um, and other points such as the Half Moon Island, which is home to large colonies of chinstrap penguins and nesting seabirds. And there's also a lot of historical sites because, as you can imagine, Antarctica has been declared some national territory, especially from Argentina, Chile, England, among other countries. So you can see some of the research stations. Some of them are operating, some of them are just not longer operating anymore. But it's great to see some of them have turned to a station, turned to museum and post office as well. So there is a very interesting approach of the history of like humans reaching the Antarctica. Okay, so when I'm gonna talk about now our expedition vessels, the ones that we work with, I'm gonna start with the Ocean Endeavor. And the Ocean Endeavor, um, it's one of the largest boats in the Antarctica. This is actually great for groups because you have like different you have about 114 cabins that it could be single, twin, and triple. And the boat has a capacity of 200 guests. In addition to this, this is a boat that is well known for its expedition commitment for research in the Antarctica. So the people that you're going to have there as their expedition leaders are going to be people who fully understand the destination and are going to be people who are specialized in different topics, such as I already explained before. They might be specialists in whales, in birds, in geology, in glaciers, and in many different topics. And it doesn't mean that you're going to be going with one guide throughout the whole entire destination. Yes, you're going to be split it within groups. However, uh, the guides and the expedition leaders they give turns from one group to the other, so all the people can get the different knowledge about their expertise on different topics. So it's not that you're going to be every day with one person who's going to be talking only about geology, but it's going to give you a complete understanding of the Antarctica Peninsula and its nature, and its nature approach in terms of like what you're able to see on the expedition. The good thing about this boat is that it's really, really good for groups because they do manage allotments and their conditions are super flexible for groups. So whenever we have a group and they're not looking for something very luxurious, we do recommend this Ocean Endeavor. We would categorize it as a very superior class boat. The only thing is that for next season, this boat is gonna be not longer operating. However, not for next season, because next season is just about to start, but like for 2026 season, 2026, 2027. And we're gonna give you information about this boat, but it's still gonna have the same flexibility and somehow the same capacity. For groups is a good opportunity. Then the second one is the Ocean Nova, which I'm gonna. Here are some vessels. I'm sorry, some pictures of how the cabins look like, and the social areas are big because it's a big boat. As I mentioned, a capacity of 200 guests on board. Crew is 124. And it's a good way because you have like cabins from standard cabins up to a little bit more luxury cabins, which fewer capacity, but still could be a good option if it's in terms of price. The itineraries that offers the Ocean Endeavor are starting with the 12 days, 11 nights Best of Antarctica, which covers only the Antarctica Peninsula. Okay, these Antarctica, these itinerary is good for one. It's definitely doing the Drake Passage to and from Ushuaia. So you need to take into consideration that out of those 12 days, 11 nights, 2 days are going to be completely on board the cruise because you're going to be navigating the Drake's Passage. When navigating the Drake's Passage, it could be very unpredictable. So it could be very calm or it could be really rough. However, all of these cruises or all of these expedition vessels are completely safe to navigate through the Drake's Passage. However, if there's people that might be feeling a little bit more sick, especially during the first day, and the second day, they probably feel more used to the motion movement of the vessel. So it's always recommended that you can take your seasickness pills in case you feel a little bit dizzy. So the 14, 13 nights itinerary, it's a journey to the Antarctica Circle. So you do the whole peninsula, but you actually get down deeper to the Antarctic Circle. And the 20 days, it's the itinerary, which is the most complete, and it takes a lot longer, but it includes the Antarctica Peninsula, the Falkland Islands, and the South Georgia Islands, which is the complete itinerary for here. Then we have another alternative, which is cruise and flight. Okay. So we work with Antarctica 21, and they, especially with this boat, Ocean Nova, and why we have selected this boat. Because for groups, all the rooms are the same category. Uh, we consider this also a Tourist Superior class expedition, but still great people But the good thing about here is that you can take a direct flight from Punta Arenas to the Antarctica Peninsula, to the Chilean research station. And usually this helps you to avoid the Drake's Passage, definitely. If you're not that adventurous and you don't want to like risk going through that rough sea, but also like for that people that do not have that much time and do want to visit the Antarctica Peninsula. Uh, as I mentioned here, the cruises, all the cabins are pretty much the same. The capacity is 67 guests, is quite smaller than the Ocean Endeavor, the one that I previously showed, and there's 34 cabins. The length of the cabins more or less are 73 meters above the and that's the good condition about this, that if you have groups, everyone's gonna have like pretty much the same standard of cabins. um in terms of the aircraft and specifications, it's important to understand that the capacity is up to 76 passengers maximum, and seating category: preferred, reserved seating, economy, and open seating. So these flights are done with an Antarctic Airways, or DAP, which is the combination, the airline that operates Antarctica flights. They do operate, and the flight time, it's about 2 hour flight from Punta Arenas to King George Island, where the Chilean research station is based. The itineraries that Ocean Nova offers are the 6 day, 5 night, which is the most fastest Antarctica cruise expedition. And this is great for ones that are coming and they don't have that much time to visit. Also, very, very important when selling Antarctica. In my experience, there's people that they say like, yes, I want to go to Antarctica because I have been in the sixth continent and it's one of my goals to be in the seventh continent. Antarctica is not for everyone. You need to be an animal lover, a wildlife lover, and admire the white continent in its different perspectives. There's people who get into the expedition and they think that, oh my god, I'm going to Antarctica, but like it's it's sometimes you're going to be on the boat while it's navigating, sometimes you're going to be doing the excursion, but the most about it is, regardless you might be seeing repeated animals, it's understanding the way they interact in the different environments of the different regions of the peninsula. So if you're not like that much interested and you want to see the Antarctica, because I would recommend flying to Antarctica and doing the 6 day, 5 night itinerary, because otherwise passengers can get very tired of seeing almost the same thing, a white landscape with penguins and whales. But if you're more of a nature and you want to understand about like the research that are provided and they're done, and sometimes they invite you to be part of the research and get involved in it, then you should go for the longer itineraries. And so this Ocean Nova cruise offers 6, 8, and 10 days Antarctica cruises. So it's a good option for anyone who wants to avoid crossing the Drake's Passage. And I'm gonna go with two sister vessels that they navigate together. One of them is the Ocean Victory from Albatross Company, and the other one is the Ocean Albatross. These two boats are 4-star. They're a higher category than the two ones previously mentioned. However, and they have a lot more things to do on board because they have more amenities inside. The capacity of these two boats are for 170 guests, which is something in between the Ocean Endeavor and the Ocean Nova that I previously showed. There's 93 cabins, and there's different types of categories because some of the cabins are looking inside, and some of the cabins they do have a outside vision and a balcony that it's only allowed to be open while once you have passed the Drake's Passage and you are on the Antarctica peninsula. Okay. What about these two boats is that they're also highly committed with eco-friendly practices, and also they do a lot of research in terms of different projects in the Antarctica with different NGOs. So you're able to immerse yourself and get more knowledge while interacting with these people who are doing intensive research while they're letting people enjoy the continent as well. And the itineraries that they do offer itineraries from 9 days up to 18 days. So as you can see, the itineraries are a little bit different. It doesn't mean that all the cruises are going to have the same length of itinerary. And this is what I was telling you, that depending on what your passenger wants, the length of the itinerary, if they want to do a pre and post extension in Argentina or Chile, we can find within different, besides these boats that we're showing right now, we can show you other options that could be the best fit of your itinerary. And so you don't have to be contacting every cruise. So in one proposal, we can send you a couple of alternatives that would fit the best for your passengers. As I mentioned, Ocean Victory and Ocean Albatross, they navigate together. And these cruises have itineraries from 9 days up to 18 days. In the 18 days program, they do the Epic Antarctica and South Georgia Adventure, where you're going to be able to see the king and emperor penguins. As you see, the cabins are more spacious, and there's more amenities, and it looks a little bit more fresh and more new because the boats are newer. And the same thing, it's 9 days up to 18 days with the Ocean Albatross, as already mentioned. The last option, which personally been doing, I personally have the luck, I've been lucky to experience and doing Antarctica, is the Antarctica flights. However, this is not really recommendable because it's flying 3 to 4 hours to reach the Antarctica icy landscapes, overfly them, and see the South Pole scenic views, but like from a plane. So it's not gonna be anything like doing an Antarctica expedition on a vessel. So it's just gonna give you a quick scenery of like seeing Antarctica, but not getting the real feeling of being on the white continent. On top of that, I just want to finalize with our top recommended experiences on Antarctica. And this is really, really nice because most of the cruises, they do offer different activities on top of the traditional ones that you're going to be doing, either hiking on the Antarctica Peninsula or either doing a dinghy ride for 45 minutes, getting to see the animals. There's different alternatives that you can actually get to see, as for example, snowshoeing. That is, all these recommended activities are additionally to be paid on top of the regular excursion. There's another one that we call the ice camping that can be offered. Not all of the cruises offer them, but for example, the Albatross cruises and the Ocean Endeavor, they do offer them. If you want to spend the night in the Antarctica, it can be offered. Sea kayaking. Here, for the most adventurous ones, it's super important that there's two ways of sea kayaking. So there's a sea kayaking program. So instead of you going on the dinghy, if you're more adventurous, you can actually do all the dinghy excursions with instead of doing the dinghy excursion, you can do all by kayak with one of the guides that it's going to be guiding the group of kayaks, and they're going to be getting closer to the different spots, which is a great experience. Or you can jump into only one excursion on sea kayaking and exploring Antarctica in one of the doing a sea kayaking excursion. So it depends. You can do the full itinerary instead of using the dinghy, or just um, getting into one of those. We always recommend whenever booking these experiences, do it in advance. Because, for example, in my experience, when I was in the Ocean Endeavor, people wanted to do the kayaking for a day, but there weren't any spaces, because a lot of people signed up for the complete sea kayaking program, and so they didn't have the spaces to go on a kayaking for days. So it's very important that when you book your Antarctica cruise, you understand what your passengers are interested in, so you can offer that to them. Another activity that it's offered to everyone, it's the polar plunge. This is a great experience because, I mean, for example, in my excursion, there were about like 195 passengers on board, and about 100 did the polar plunge. It's super safe, and they put some rock and roll, and they give you a shot of vodka before you doing it, and then you jump, and then they pull you out of the water. So it's a great experience. People sometimes they repeat it, but there's a lot of people doing it. More than 60% of the people on board usually, what I've been told is they get into the polar plunge. Usually, it's not as cold as you expect. I thought it would be much more colder, but it's a great experience, definitely, to take a swim in the Antarctica Ocean. Whale watching is another thing that you do. This is not guaranteed, but you can do in the dinghies, or in the zodiacs. And this is you don't need to pay extra for any of these experiences, because these are whenever you're getting in one of the spots that you're gonna that usually whales gather to or congregate to feed with krill. You go here and you try to spot the whales. As I already mentioned, the photo workshops, if like your passengers are more interested in photography, there is a way of like being assigned a photography expedition leader that will make their tour more oriented into having these incredible photo workshops among your trip to Antarctica. And this is it, finally. I would like now to stop recording.